Afternoon, everyone. We're going to start. Last one for the day. So we're talking about getting the most out of SharePoint and OneDrive. So it's mostly some slides, but we're going to talk about it, make sure you got an understanding of which ones we use. But that's our agenda for the day. Give an overview of SharePoint and OneDrive. We're going to also talk about some key comparisons of when you should and when you shouldn't do it. Also, going to talk about use cases and best cases and best the integration capabilities you have with both those platforms. So how many people are familiar with SharePoint? Anybody not familiar with SharePoint? Everybody familiar with OneDrive? All right, perfect. So kind of give you guys a little background. So SharePoint started back in 2000, 2001 when they first did very first version of SharePoint. Oh, sorry. Back to this last time. Glad you made it. So my name is Mose Richardson, or Mo. I'm from Oklahoma, originally from Texas. I live in Oklahoma now. I'm the cloud solution architect at Microsoft. Been there for 6 years. My focus is Power Platform and SharePoint. Prior to becoming Microsoft, I was SharePoint administrator for 13 years in various organizations. I'm from Oklahoma. I spent 29 years in the military. 4 kids, married, a couple of dogs. My kids range between the age of 23 and 8. We're a little bit spread there. It was a surprise. So let's talk about our comparison. So OneDrive is, these are some of your use cases for OneDrive is, it's your personal storage. So coming back to that SharePoint initial history. So when you first had SharePoint, you had a thing called My Drive, or I think it was the term My Site. This is kind of a replacement of that. So it's actually building SharePoint, you have to upload your own personal file. But when they moved to Office 365, we had that initially, and they came with OneDrive. OneDrive is significantly better than what it was before. The other one was a lot better. Yeah. This is better. You can do a lot more things you can do right now. OneDrive, like I say, it connects to everything. One of the big things about OneDrive, you can see up your desktop. Any file you put in OneDrive, they're available for any platform you can access. You can access your phone, iPad, someone else's PC. The only thing you do is follow information available. So it allows you to make your files offline, even at the airport. You open a OneDrive with on file domain and downloads it. You can work on the airport, make all the changes you want on the plane. Once you get back online, it will take those changes back up for you. So it has a lot of capabilities for that. It also gives you kind of ad hoc sharing capabilities. So you want to share a doc with one person. Now, some people will do this. You don't want to share with everyone this way. SharePoint's a better tool for this, but you can. You can share it. Once I was sure Office 365, you can. But this is more for ad hoc sharing for small, I would say 3 or less. Now, should you create a SharePoint site for 5 people? Maybe, depends on what you're doing. Or you just share a document with them and then you all can interact with that document itself. And in SharePoint, the SharePoint, we have a little more structure because we have document libraries, we have lists. We can do the same collaboration we do in OneDrive. So we have all the same people, but better. We have the sharing. We also can create lists. We can add metadata to documentation, which is very big. If you're not familiar with metadata, there's additional information besides the document has the name or the content. For example, in SharePoint, you do metadata, say, this is our financial history document for whatever year. You can create a metadata field for that information there. So when someone searches that, hey, I'm looking for our financial information 2025, that's what's going to show up because that metadata is attached to it. But SharePoint has a significant advantage over OneDrive like that. It's metadata. We can customize the list. We can do pages. We can do a lot more with SharePoint than you could OneDrive. But they both still back to the whole thing about sharing documents. SharePoint was initially about document sharing. So it still have that basic capability. I'll talk about some of my key comparisons. So storage scope. You have 1 terabyte for you to OneDrive. That's the permanent space there. I think you can buy that extra if you want to. That's quite a bit of cost. But with SharePoint, you have 25 terabytes per site collection. So basically, 25 users can upload a terabyte to that site, and you'll still be on your, but you hit your limitation for that SharePoint site. So it has the ability to take a large amount of documents. Now, should you dump everything from your file server in there, it's entirely up to you. Just know that 25 terabytes is limited at this time. It can potentially go up. It will go a lot more. But you can upload 25 terabytes worth of data into that site. So they both, OneDrive can do the co-author, so can SharePoint. If you're anybody familiar with co-author, you're not familiar with co-author. So if you're not familiar, so co-authors, you share a document with someone. I share a document with someone else, and they open it. We're both in the document at the exact same time. There'll be a little bubble that comes up in the upper right-hand corner. That shows me, I have my initials and my color, and then another person in it. And inside the document, you'll see where our little bubbles at and where we're working on the document. So we get all that document together. You can do multiple people. So you all get the same document, you can share with them through OneDrive SharePoint. You all can work on the exact same time. You can see what each of us doing, see what section someone's working on. Yes.
We've had a couple of people say they can't quite hear you. Maybe if you could speak up a little bit, or is there anything we could do with the
There's
sound?
no way we can really goose it. It's those two microphones up there.
Oh, nice talk about it.
Okay.
All right. I will talk about it. Let's talk about that. So with SharePoint, you have a lot of other advanced options such as the search, once again, list, manage metadata, all those things you can have in SharePoint that you don't have in OneDrive. OneDrive is strictly folders and file types. That's it. You get to have one for metadata as your title, your file type, and then the folders you put in. So that's the organization for SharePoint. Where you can do with that. Oh, in SharePoint, you got a check-in and check-out function. That allows you to check it. So I can check a document out, and I could be making a draft, and when I'm ready to check it back in, I can make it a published version. But it allows me to have a draft that I'm working on, and not make it available for every user to see it. If OneDrive, if you're working on a document, when you save it, everybody sees it immediately. But SharePoint, I want to check it out, and I'm not going to show that version until I'm ready for anybody else to see it. Then I check it back in. That's built-in features inside of SharePoint. So we already talked about organization. Document OneDrive, folders. I hate folders. So I'm not a folders person, because in SharePoint, we actually kind of did away with it. We actually prefer you do metadata. So instead of doing folders, you do metadata, you make it very flat. You specify you like financial document all with the same tag. And so you can then create views. Well, you can create folders on top of folders on top of folders on top of folders, which I said I don't like, because it's more stuff I have to drill down to. But you only have that capability in OneDrive. SharePoint, metadata, you can filter it based off the data you have. Once again, you can create views off of it, you can search by that information. You can create views for just certain people to see certain things and share with them. Permissions. So permissions in OneDrive, any document, you have to share with users. They don't have access to anything that's in your OneDrive. You have to share with them. You got to say, I want to share this with Prakash. I got to go find his name and share that document. I share it in each one of the documents I share, I can do each one of them. In SharePoint, I can say, I want to add Prakash to the site as a person that can do something. And he gets added to the site, he can see all the documents I can see, because I add them at one single location. So permissions are a lot easier to do with SharePoint in OneDrive. So for example, about an Office 365 group or a security group, you can go on that SharePoint site, and everyone who's in that group cannot have access to that documents that are there. And whatever permissions you give that group initially, or give that group in general, that's what they can do. They don't have the ability to read, they can only read. They have the ability to write, they can write. So SharePoint is more of an enterprise level thing than anything else compared to OneDrive, because you have the capabilities. So if you have a need to share a bunch of documents and you want to be able to use a security group, something like that, SharePoint's your way to go. OneDrive will not get it done, unfortunately. So let's talk about integration. They're all integrated. Both of those integrate with all those platforms, which is perfectly fine. Teams, Outlook. You go to your emails, I'm going to send an email file to someone. What's the option it gives you? You can add an attachment, you can navigate to your OneDrive, or you can navigate to a SharePoint site. Same thing. Go into Teams, I want to send a message. It gives you the exact same three options again. So you have the capability of sharing, and both these platforms are heavily integrated Office 365. And if you also, to get all the capabilities, so you still get the search capability you have in the SharePoint, you also get it in OneDrive. But you know that everything's heavily integrated. Now, kind of bring us back around. Let's talk about that. So everything's integrated Office 365. You have your OneDrive, you have SharePoint. If you have Copilot licensing, you use Copilot, that's all searchable too, because it can search your OneDrive and also search all the documentation that you have to help you with information. So if you need to find something, you can use OneDrive, or you can use OneDrive and SharePoint to find document. So it looks at all things you have access to.
Got a few questions if you want to take
Yes,
them now.
let's do it.
Okay, first one is I'm hoping to learn how SharePoint and OneDrive and the S drive are connected. I guess it's a shared drive few people on my team like to use S Drive and some like SharePoint. Is there a way to open an S Drive file and do a live group edit?
Ooh, so if it's an internal one, no, you have to put it in SharePoint line. You have to put a SharePoint line in OneDrive. Because I'm guessing S Drive is probably a local file server. And so you won't have that capability, so it has to be in one of those two places, SharePoint and OneDrive.
Yeah, and this person is saying S Drive is on the internal drive. And also, is there a way to share videos with external parties on SharePoint?
So there is. So to share video with external users, you have to share, you basically have to add that person into your tenant as a guest user. So they have to be added to enter ID, and then
Okay,
you can share it with them. And that's the only thing you do. SharePoint does not allow you to share with anybody, create anonymous links. OneDrive can, but I'm pretty sure you guys are already blocking that. OneDrive will let you share anonymously, but SharePoint will not let you do it because security reasons. You actually have to add someone as a body of your tenant to allow them to access it. Or put it on some kind of public website. Any other questions?
not now.
Okay, perfect. Slide it up. So here's some of our use cases for OneDrive. OneDrive, stuff you personally work on. You can, anything you're working on, you can use that for. If it's just something you're working on yourself to get ready to make it available to other people, use OneDrive. You can do it in SharePoint too, but you can do OneDrive and move it over later. You also can do ad hoc sharing anytime you want to. And the big piece of it, offline capability. So for me, I was flying here yesterday, last night, Monday, what night? Sunday, my flight got canceled. Booked another flight, got to the airport, that was canceled. So I downloaded my presentation, worked on it on the plane when I finally got on the plane. So I had downloaded it, and I was able to make all the changes and upload more. Because I stored everything in OneDrive, it synced everything back up. So I had my presentation, I had 4 hours in the plane to work on it, so I got to do it. Make sure everything is fine. So you have that capability to use OneDrive. Now you also have version history and recovery. The version history of OneDrive, I don't like it. Because what you have to do, you can't do it from the web browser, you actually do it from your PC. You go into your PC, you right click on the document in the OneDrive folder, and you go down to more options, and then you get the history. You see all the different, still have the history stuff. SharePoint, it's easy. You go into the web interface, ellipses right next to it, version history. You can see anything there. But OneDrive, you actually have to be on your computer or on the device where that OneDrive is. Which is a big deal. And also your local file backup. If you're not using a local file backup, you should. You can specify what's called known folder move, where you specify a location that looks at. Like for instance, my documents, anything gets loaded in my documents or saved there, automatically gets saved. So if your laptop blows up, you drop it in a pool or something, your files are not done. So days of having to carry thumb drive, make sure your stuff backed up, and pretty much gone. You can go to that computer and pull out those files if you need to. Like I used to have a bunch of thumb drive, I have a bunch of those still that I don't use it because I can get everything in the drive. I can access it with my phone. So OneDrive, best practices, folders, don't like folders. So you want to have any kind of structure, they define stuff, you got to create folders because you can't do metadata and then your opinion convention. If you want to do this, you have to have a pretty good naming convention to name things the way you want them to be easier to find. I suck at naming conventions. I forget what I named something and I go back through and find it. So I like SharePoint, this is this. Okay, that's what I did there. So yeah, I prefer that over anything else. And also we talked about, so the synchronization of part of it. It syncs up your documents. When the moment you save a document, if you save OneDrive, it immediately starts syncing. If you have internet capability, it will sync almost. Now some documents take a little bit longer, like for instance, PowerPoint. A PowerPoint won't sync until you actually close it. You actually have to close a PowerPoint before it actually sync. Then it will sync it. Like my slides in the slow. Then SharePoint. SharePoint has been around longer. It is a knowledge management system. That's what they for documents. So it has everything you can think of. You have the ability to collaborate with documents. You can make it as document centric, where everything's based on those documents, create multiple document libraries. You have metadata, create views, you create pages. You can do everything you can think of with a document inside of SharePoint in regards to organization. If you want to go with those 15,000 folders in it, you sure can. Don't divide it, but you can. So you can still do the best for both folders and metadata if you wanted to. And then both people can collaborate at the same time. Like that mission. Share it with a group. If someone gets onboarded, I'll make it added to that group. Then they can go see, they can actually see those documents almost immediately. So with SharePoint, so this is a feature that's been lost in SharePoint over, I think, over probably the last couple of years, is metadata. So when back in the old days of SharePoint, you used to go tag documents, say this document, this type of document, put metadata in there, called content types. And you would tag all that stuff in there so you knew exactly what they were. So it's kind of lost art, but you can still do it. When you do those content types and tag the document information, it makes it easier to find. And particularly now we're going to generative AI, more information is better. So the more information you give about that document, the better your results will be. But if you go back to using metadata, which I don't either, but you go back to using that along with Copilot, it'll make life a lot easier for you with SharePoint because it can actually find stuff a little bit easier based off of metadata itself. All right. So we already kind of talked about how it works with integrates everything, kind of bring it back up again. Works everything. You can collaborate real time with someone. First, I can be on the phone. I can be looking at a Word document. Someone else can be on the desktop. Someone else can be in a browser. All of us can work on the same document from different platforms. We all co-op that document at the exact same time. There's no limit of what you can do. If you're a Mac user, sorry, but you can do it too. So there's no limitation of what you can. And it works with IP. You can get to the web browser, you can even do it on Linux. And then of course Microsoft Teams. Everything we have is built on Teams. It integrates SharePoint and OneDrive. If there's actually an option to add OneDrive in there, I don't upload documents from OneDrive. Then yeah, it gives you an option. OneDrive and SharePoint. My favorite piece, if you're not here earlier, I'm a big Power Automate fan. Power Automate, you can do the kind of automation with SharePoint and OneDrive. Someone uploads a document into SharePoint. When they upload a document, you can send an email, hey, someone uploaded a document. You need to do these things. Someone modified a document and let you know they modified a document. Someone wants to share a document somewhere. They can even create a Power Automate that let them go through the process of sharing. But then you can have the documentation of, okay, we approve this file to be shared. You can do a lot with Power Automate and SharePoint and OneDrive. Power Automate can't not do it. It turns you once you connect to it.
So you're a big what fan?
Power Automate.
Power Automate.
Yes. So Power Automate is the workflow engine for SharePoint Online and pretty much all the Power Platform. So there's not too many things you can't do with that integration. And also you can do custom apps behind on top of SharePoint and OneDrive if you need to, mostly underneath SharePoint. And also you have the unified search that's big. Because anything you search for inside of OneDrive and SharePoint, you can surface. Regardless of what you search for, it will search all the content you have access to. It will not show you anything you don't have access to. If you don't have access to SharePoint site, you will not see any content there. You don't have access to my OneDrive file, you won't see that file in search. So there's no, if you don't share something in OneDrive, you don't explicitly share with someone, they don't have access to it. In SharePoint, once again, you have to share with them. They don't have access to it, they won't see anything in search. If you have that unified search window, you can search for everything inside of SharePoint. Then we have all these different kind of integrations. So we have APIs. If you've done anything with SharePoint, SharePoint has a bunch of APIs you can interface with documents with. You can do a bunch of stuff, APIs via the document. It's a part of it. Also, you can do your create custom connectors to connect to SharePoint to different things, which I've done quite a bit. And also you can use it as a Logic app. Azure Logic app is basically Power Automate with steroids. It can do a lot more than Power Automate can. It can connect to a bunch of different sources and it's built in Azure. So it has a lot of capability outside what Power Automate is. If you're a custom developer, you'll probably do stuff, you could probably do a lot with Logic apps. It's the same as Power Automate. It's just a more advanced version. So in conclusion, very slight like reality, but collaboration, you have to decide how you want to collaborate. Decide early. You can move later on if you want to. You need SharePoint site. Take a SharePoint site. You're gonna do OneDrive, do OneDrive. You can move later, but it's easier for you to decide at the very beginning how you're gonna do it to make sure that you have the proper tools, right? Because what's one bad thing about OneDrive? Right now?
Can't share externally.
Yes, that's also true. What I might know. So let's say I share my documents, with you guys, and I win the lottery tonight, and I leave Microsoft. Guess what happens to my account? It goes away along with all my documents. But if you put it on SharePoint, if someone retires, win the lottery, or, run away somewhere, you still have their files. A lot of organizations run into that issue where someone who's been there forever leaves, they were retired, and all their stuff's on OneDrive, and they're like, well, we don't know where the stuff is at. But if all that stuff is on SharePoint, it can now be easily found. So I would always tell you, if you have anything critical, any kind of business process that you need to preserve, put it on SharePoint. Even if you start with there, if you start with OneDrive, move to SharePoint as soon as you're done, just to make sure you have that information. Because a lot of organizational knowledge is lost, and all the emails and the documents they created, they're in the OneDrive go away if you don't stop it from moving. Or you got to contact Microsoft or they can restore it for you. But if they put it in OneDrive SharePoint along with metadata, you can find it a lot. So I'm going to bring up my demonstration here. We're going to look at our platforms. That's here. All right, so can everyone see my screen stuff? All right, so here's my OneDrive. It's my OneDrive, my documents. See across the top here, I have my different types of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDFs, and more. These are all, I have no filter on metadata. I can't say, hey, which one has finance? I can search for it, and hopefully it has that name in there. But if it doesn't have that name in there, guess what it's not going to find? It's not going to find that file. Because I can do a lot of stuff. I can create all my SharePoint sites. I have access to it here. I can create files from here and add them, and they're available for me to use. I can upload files. Great. It works perfectly fine for individual use of stuff. But if I want to do something at an organizational level, I have to share everything I want to share with them. So let's go to SharePoint. SharePoint, I have this. I can share files. I can edit files directly in the browser. I can upload files. I can add columns in there and say, hey, the date this was uploaded was this date. The date we need to review this is this date. You can use automation with this product. Like for instance, if you have most of your files from time to power review every couple of years, you upload to SharePoint, say in 5 years, send me an alert and let me know we need to review this file. Send me 6 months out from that date. You can do Power Me to send an alert to say 6 months we need to review, this file needs to be reviewed or time runs out. You can't do that with Copilot. Sorry, you can't do that with OneDrive. You can do that with SharePoint and Power. I'm not telling you not to use OneDrive. I'm telling you if you're doing anything enterprise level, I want to do SharePoint. Like anything I share with anybody in Microsoft, even if I do something one-off, I always put it in SharePoint so someone else can find it. If I win the lottery, and I leave, they can find it. So it has a lot more capability. Same thing with the version. I click on version history. I can see all my versions here. And OneDrive, and it's not the same tenant. In my OneDrive, I got to go here. I can go to my documents. We go find that in here. So here, click on it, go to show more options. Then I gotta find where's my version. I've been honest. And there's my version. I do all that to get the versions. And I do it on my PC. If I do it on OneDrive, if I do it in SharePoint, just go to document. Click on the 3 ellipses, go to version, it's there. So version is on both of those. But this one you have with SharePoint is a little easier to get to. As you see, I'm kind of advocating one over the other, but this is my favorite one. But it has a lot more capability in the enterprise level than OneDrive and file sharing and file maintenance. But if you're doing something, kind of bring it all back. If you're doing something for a small group of people, OneDrive is still probably a better option than creating a SharePoint site if it's one document. But if you're doing anything enterprise level, it's SharePoint. I said OneDrive does keep lots of output out there just for me. That I may write up and I may spend a couple months on and then I'll finally make it available when it's done. But I typically start OneDrive and then use it later on. But it kind of hit and miss because something I know for sure immediately going to be available at one, I put it as SharePoint. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far? Very good. All right, so quick recap. I got a couple minutes. Anything in our subject, whatever you do, before you do anything, plan. I'm a big planner. If I'm gonna do something, I plan out ahead of time. This is what I want to get to. And so I work my way backwards from there. My military stuff. I know what I need to do. I work backwards from that point on. To figure out what I need to do to achieve that. So if you're going to share a document, you're making kind of policy documents for your users. Okay, I need to make this available for everyone in my department. Okay, so first I need to find your location. You probably want to do the SharePoint. Because in SharePoint, you can do check in, check out. You can upload the initial file, not check it in, and no one else can do anything with it until you actually check it in for everyone else to use. So it will stay hidden from them until you actually make it available for them to see. And with SharePoint, we can do very granular information. I can say only certain people can read the file, only certain people can edit this file if I want to. You can do the same thing OneDrive, but OneDrive, you can do every single file that way. In SharePoint, you can specify a document library. These people have the ability to read, these people have the ability to edit in this document library itself. So you can do it at a larger scale. But OneDrive, every time you want to share a file, you got to select it, share it. But it's more controlled. There's no risk of someone getting access to something that you have access to. You've got to go through like, I'm going to find this person, I'm going to share it with them. That's it. Or at SharePoint, you have more granular control of permissions, and you also can create custom permissions with those. Does anybody have any questions? That's quiet today. My first time. I have a couple more topics coming. So back to OneDrive. OneDrive, if you have a client on your computer, it syncs stuff. As long as your folder location, like for instance, a lot of times a lot of organizations, Microsoft, if we put something in the download folder, it does not sync to my OneDrive. So I got to move it into my actual OneDrive folder. So you have to figure out what your policy is. Your policy is that you guys ignore the download folder. Make sure you don't save anything there. Make sure you save it in the proper location so it gets backed up. Because you don't want to lose something you've been working on for a while because you put it in the wrong location and it's not being backed up. And in OneDrive, right here, if I click on the icon here, it tells me what files are being backed up from. It gives me a list of files. It gives me history of all my files have been backed up. So if I want to see what file got backed up, it's all right here.
So we did get a question, are these tools current that allow us to accept documents from those outside our organization, i.e. other agencies, nonprofits, other non-state entities? I let them know not with OneDrive that you can't really accept something from.
So another user can share it with them,
Okay,
but that's if you guys allow them to share it. Because you can block and say, we don't want anybody to share it with us. They got to click on the URL. Like if I share a document, you got to click on the URL and you got to authenticate it with Microsoft. If you try to do it, it won't let you because I got to actually go physically add you as a guest, and it will let you actually log in. So it's depending on what your organization settings are.
but with SharePoint, if you have a team and you have someone that's external to your tenant, but you've invited them in as a guest, then yes, you can do it there. Yeah.
So a lot of depends on like Azure stuff, like you got the B2C, B2B, whatever. A lot of it depends on how you line your guests if they have access to those things. Because even at SharePoint, there's things that allow everybody but external users.
Okay.
So a lot of it depends on what your organization settings are. But anyway.
That's it. Do we have any more questions, folks? Our folks online, any other questions?
Slides.
Yeah.
Question. Okay. Stop sharing again and come back here. So while it's loading, resume. I do it. So whenever you make sure before you do anything, and kind of share with noted and stuff that make sure you coordinate with the IT department, DIT. Make sure you coordinate with them whatever your needs are for sharing wise, and make sure you know what their policy is before you go out and do it. Because you may try to go out there and do it, and it may not work. Or it may be something you block later, so make sure you get approval for whatever you're trying to share. Now, there are some things, for instance, this is the top one. If your organization has what's called sensitivity labels, If there's sensitive labels set on certain documents, like for example, stuff that is confidential, they will not let you share anybody external whatsoever. So if you have sensitive label, you start to something confidential or secret at that level, it will not let you share it to external user at all. Like in Microsoft, some of the stuff we label confidential, it says, I can't share anybody outside the organization and downgrade it, and I get approved to downgrade it. So make sure before you share something, and coordinate, make sure you guys will get yourself in trouble. Because it may not be tagged the proper way, but make sure you follow the proper procedure, make sure you share the documents. Because anything is shared, once again, if you don't go through and pick, like for instance, OneDrive, you can specify a person can view the document, or you can specify edit the document. Download, if you don't specify anything else, they can edit and download the document. So with the OneDrive, pick your permission if you want to share. Same thing with SharePoint, you share external user, personal permission you want them to have, nothing more than what they need. If you're showing external user, I'll be hard pressed to get external user because they edit or download anything. I'll get more viewing, but you can't stop them from screenshotting and stuff like that. But you can stop them from downloading editing files. Or even if they have screenshotting capabilities, logs, but so that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a question about personal OneDrive. It notified, even though I'm like 90%, I still have 10% free, notifies me all the time that do I want to update? Is there any way to turn the notifications off?
I think there is. Yeah, I think there is. I think it is coming. It keeps bugging you to either upgrade or you reduce it down to 11. I think it's kind of dope. So your OneDrive, 1 terabyte file collection, 25 terabytes. So choose weapon accordingly. What you have. So anything you upload to SharePoint, as long as you have connection with it.
I will say, I always think of OneDrive as like what you're working on immediately. Like, don't think of it as, it's not the junk drawer. It's, a lot of people treat it that way. If you've got old documents, and I'm guilty of it. I mean, we've all done it, but if you've got old documents that you don't really need, go ahead and delete them. Or if you think you might need them, eventually move them to a SharePoint site that someone else can access. Once I win the lottery, my team might say, where were those documents that Karen told us about?
Yeah, and clear the OneDrive. And me, I'm bad about keeping stuff. I have 750 gigs worth of documents. Been Microsoft 6 years. I haven't deleted anything stuff in here. So that's not a good practice. Because what I initially didn't do, I didn't name stuff properly. Like I have a bunch of test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a bunch of them I don't know what they are. I've tested like 5 years. But I haven't gone back into them because I'm not sure if they are. So name a convention. And this is anything you do in Microsoft. Name it properly. Name what your organization information. Like your organization's GOIT, whatever it is, put that in the very front of your document, and then what the document name is. So someone needs to know that at glance what it is. Because me, I have to go back through and look at all those things, and I'm actually surprised to do everything. It's not even worried about it. But don't do what I did. Make sure you keep track of all your files, make sure you know what they are. Because ultimately you will save yourself a lot of time. I'm pretty sure I probably did stuff like 15 times because I didn't even pay back and remember. Thank you guys. I can give you guys back some time.